Last year I visited Italy on a grand culinary tour of the pig. This is amazing. Look at this, naturally cured salami. And as well as tasting some of the finest salami in the world, I got to witness an entire pig being broken down. This has been absolutely amazing. A Giampiero has taken a pig and broken it down in 20 minutes. These guys are guns. Although I've eaten my own farm-raised pork, I'm yet to experience the entire nose-to-tail custom with one of my own pigs. And it's a tradition I want to involve my family and friends in on Puggle Farm. My name is Matthew Evans. I used to be a food critic living in Sydney. Now, I'm a pig farmer in country Tasmania. We've just bought a new farm, Fat Pig Farm, and a new dream has surfaced. We want people to meet our animals and pick and taste our homegrown food. But that means one almighty makeover to deliver a farm-to-plate experience. From hobby farm to family business, how hard can it be? It's never an easy day choosing the pig whose time has finally come. But the reality of farming is that one of them has to go. We're just moving the pig to kill and preserve at home from Fat Pig Farm over to our original farm, Puggle Farm. There's 3 in here left out of that litter, and we just want to take the biggest girl. Over the course of the next 3 days back on Puggle Farm, we'll be making 10 different pork products from this 8-month-old Wessex saddleback. And in the process, nothing will be wasted. And there's quite a crew to share the experience with us. Hey guys. My friend Ivano has witnessed his family breaking down a pig in Italy, and I'll be relying on Mick and his mother Lena's extensive knowledge of the process, having continued the tradition here in Australia. Friend Michelle will be helping Sadie. Of course, Ross will be on hand to lend his extensive butchering skills. So I guess the most important thing is that we get water hot, and then once the water's hot, I can ring Marty, who's done this sort of stuff a lot before, and he can come and stun the pig. After we've got the pig hanging, I'll divvy up some jobs from there. I don't seem to have a job, but I'll be running around just trying to work out what needs doing at the time. Any questions, come and grab me, but otherwise we'll just get on with it.
All right.
Cool. Cheers.
Bye.
An important part of the setup is to have the bath water hot enough, so once the pig is slaughtered, its skin can be scalded. That way you can scrape off a fine outer skin and all the hair off its body. And we're attaching a hoist to keep the carcass off the ground. I just want to keep it out of the way of the quolls of the dog.
Yeah, fair enough.
With tables set and knives sharpened, Marty arrives ready for duty. The community jack of all trades. Today he will be handling the dispatching of our pig. So we haven't dug the hole, Marty, because I was going to just make sure we're on the same wavelength with that. Marty checks that we're all good to go and oversees the digging of a pit to catch the blood. Time is of the essence to ensure minimal stress on the animal. And it's all over in the blink of an eye.
Now I need this leg, that side down.
The blood we're collecting is for Lena and Mick, for use in the traditional blood sausage recipe known as sanguinaccia. This is strangely primitive. My heart's going a million miles an hour, and this pig has become pork, or very shortly will, once we get the hair off and it starts to become more recognisable as the things I normally get back from the abattoir. There's no doubting up close it's a fairly grisly process, but we're committed to seeing it through, to honour the life of the animal and to better understand what is usually done behind closed doors on our behalf. We're just scraping the hair off the pig, so it's a bit like a chicken you scald. And while the pig's blood is still warm, Mick makes a start on the first recipe of the day, which features the most unique first step of any recipe I've ever encountered.
We whisk the blood to break the clot up, or to stop it from clotting until she cools down. That way we don't get a solid mass.
We leave the blood to cool, and it takes 4 of us to hang the carcass and get a start on the butchering. There's a couple of reasons for hanging the pig. To gut it, you hang it and the guts will just fall out, so you don't end up with a problem with the guts contaminating the meat. It's easier to trim off these last of these hairs. In winter in Tassie, sometimes we can hang an animal, like a deer, on the other side of the hill there for 3 weeks, and it won't go off, and it just gets tender and more flavoursome. Pig only needs overnight. And it doesn't take long for our pig to be in a more recognisable form, like you'd see in the butcher shop. Ivano wants to learn as much from this process as he can, and Lena is eager to pass on her family's tradition to another 2 generations.
So what parts of this would you use and what?
All of it. There's your sausages,
Yep.
or your dry cacciatore, and you also could use those for your blunt sausage because they're boiled, or you'd use the stomach.
And
The
the
northern officially, if you didn't make a sausage with a liver, you'd actually fried it off and ate it that way. So there was nothing wasted whatsoever. Yes, of course.
I know it's really. And with our new Evans family tradition truly underway, it's time to talk recipes. So it was pretty ambitious, really, from one pig. We've got the blood already, and I thought we could probably do something else on the first day, and then the rest of it we'll try to get done over the following days. I'll just go through it on the pig itself. So if we take off the head for the brawn, one shoulder, I reckon we'll try and get what we can for the mortadella out of there. There'll be a fair amount of lean meat. Prosciutto out of one leg, a little ham out of one of the other legs, a black ham done with stout and treacle. All in all, 10 different cured and fresh products from 15 cuts of pork.
We can also take up from like the jowls down into the cheeks, because the rest of the part we can use in the brawn, which will come up quite good.
Right on cue, the rain comes down and our pig's head comes off, ready for Ross to transform it into brawn.
I like to have a bit of meat in brawn, where most people, when they do brawn, it's always skin and little bits and all that. See, I actually kind of like to leave the tongue whole and the ears whole.
And on a slice, it would look quite beautiful.
Yeah, because you've got the outside skin. It's like a beautiful galantine done well, but you're actually using the...
You're using the head.
Yeah.
So brawn, some people call it head cheese. So brawn is about taking all these really yummy bits, like into the skin and all the bits that are all around the skull. It's almost like a terrine. For those people who know it and love it, you get these layers of meat, you get the layers of skin. For the uninitiated, it sounds terrible. For those who know and love brawn, it's an incredible thing when it's made well. It takes considerable skill to deconstruct the head. And while Ross gets to it, I'm ready to learn all about the unlikely combination of blood and chocolate.
This is something that Grandma used to make for us every year. So I have vivid memories as a child as hooking into the sanguinaccio. It was the thing that we really look forward to because it was one of the first things that was made.
First in, we've got about 1.5 litres of blood, which we'll pour in here.
Freshly whisked, of course. And to the blood, we add 1,200 mils of milk, 2 generous cups of sultanas, pine nuts, and half a cup of masala. You tell me when to stop.
Okay. Yeah, that's about right.
Love the sort of measuring.
About 3/4 of a cup of sugar.
And for some chocolatey goodness, cocoa. So about that.
Cocoa?
Oh, you don't need to sieve it. To help bind it all together, we add 3 cups of breadcrumbs. Then, the most delicate operation of all, ladling the bloody mixture into fresh intestinal casings, or bungs. I can see why you wore that coloured jumper.
Yes, well, you can't tell.
It's really soupy. I was expecting a thicker mix.
Once it cooks, though, you'll be really surprised how thick it actually goes. That's about right, eh?
Then it's just a matter of tying them off. Do you go right down or do you just leave it up there?
Right up there.
Isn't that a miracle? You know, the intestines from the animal becomes the casing for the sausage. Then it's Max's turn to funnel a piccolo version. All over you, I reckon.
Good job, Max. That was my job when I was your age.
They're placed in cold water, which is gently heated until they poach. All right, and how does it work?
So they'll float. When they're cooked, they'll actually float to the surface.
So the little ones will be done much earlier, so we can scoop them out.
Scoop those out. Well, when we were kids, we just poked them until they felt like they were hard enough for us to eat, and then we'd go for it.
Just 20 minutes on a gentle simmer, and our blood sausage with chocolate and sultanas is done.
We'll get the little ones out first. Right, so we just pop them into the water.
Who do you reckon the first person was who came up with that?
Someone brave.
Well, chocolate makes everything taste better.
That's true, it does.
Why don't we try it with blood? Fascinated to see how they're going to taste. All those amazing flavours in there. We get to try these tomorrow. First thing from that pig. It's the end of the day. Pretty long day for me, I have to say. I was up fairly early. I was really worried about how it was all going to go, but in the end, it went so well. I couldn't have asked for a quicker, pain-free death for this girl than actually happened. So there's a fair bit of work yet to be done, so everyone's coming over again first thing in the morning. Let's just hope she's hung high enough to keep her safe from the quolls.
Look at the size of that. It's brilliant.
Well, let's call that one.
Numero uno. That's
that.
the inside.
It's cotechino. Day 2 of breaking down our pig. And it's a relief to see that overnight the pesky quolls have left our girl alone. So Ross is going to come and break down the pig into bits, butcher it, cut into in chunks, and then have to get through all the rest of these recipes. We've done the start of the first two. Everyone's due here fairly shortly. Ross has left the pig's head in a salty solution overnight to remove any impurities.
Looks like it's done its job.
The bones and skin are added to a rich stock made from our own rillette. And in go peppercorns, juniper berries, bay leaves, onions, roughly chopped onions, and finally water. That should bring it up to the top. Before being left to simmer.
So there we go, that's on. We'll leave that for 6 hours. Let's get going.
All right, cool. There's plenty to do.
Yeah.
Although it's our first time at this, we're making excellent progress. And the first cut needed for today is a shoulder, for Mick and his mum Lena's mortadella.
There we go.
Geez, it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, that's a good sized shoulder.
Mortadella comes in many styles and dates back from Roman times. It is one of Italy's most popular sausages. It contains shoulder pork mixed with high-quality fat in a ratio of 7:3 pork to fat.
Nice meat. It's beautiful colour, isn't it?
Mm.
Today, Mick is putting his spin on the classic mortadella Bologna. As Lena continues to prepare the meat, Mick makes a sauce of lambrusco, cinnamon, mace and coriander, which is gently simmered to give the sauce its traditional delicate flavour.
Just check it.
Yep.
And Ivano is everywhere to lend a hand.
Very thick.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah, just pop a little bit more wine in there. Just to...
Do you have anything?
While the sauce cools, it's back to the carcass to sauce our next cut for the rolled pancetta. Yeah, so just the belly. So
And I'll take it to
somewhere
about
across
there.
there. So pancetta takes its name from the belly. So we're going to take the skin off, put some herbs and salt on it, cure it overnight, and then tomorrow take those off, put some fresh herbs and salt on, and tie it up really tightly into a roll and hang it for about 4 to 6 weeks. Back at the pounding station, Michelle is preparing a mixture of salt, sage, rosemary, nutmeg and peppercorns that will both flavour and cure the pancetta. So here it is. The belly, to me, is one of the best flavoured parts of the pig. We're going to salt it, roll it up tomorrow, and then when you cut this, you get all those lovely streaks, almost like the streaky bit of your bacon. Pancetta, like prosciutto, are both safe to eat without cooking because they're both fully cured meats. Salt draws water out of the meat. It retards the growth of microorganisms and slows the process of oxidisation, effectively preventing the meat from going off.
Yeah, that's looking good now.
The pancetta will cure overnight before being resalted tomorrow. In the meantime, Ross tackles another of his specialties. This is for the lomo.
Right,
We've left
yeah.
the loin on, taking the whole belly off for pancetta. So we're left with that, and I thought it'd be nice to actually cure that with the skin and the fat still on, almost like a young prosciutto. The succulent loin traditionally receives the utmost care in its preparation, and Ross remains faithful to this practice.
It is quite delicate work, but you want to actually have that nice and smooth and special. It's all about respect for the animal, that the life it went through.
Gentle life, gentle end.
It is.
And the curing mix is pretty simple. Just salt and local pepper berries, crushed in the mortar. So about 2-3 days in that?
Probably 2.
And then I'll hang it with all the other, with the prosciutto and the salami and stuff.
All good to do?
Good,
Beautiful.
I'll get rid of that. I imagine they're all going to get pretty hungry out there working for free, so the least I can do is cook them a meal. What I don't want to do is make soup perfect for a cold day like this. Beef shin soup. I'm going to fry off beef shin and flavour it with celeriac, some root vegetables, and this thing called kohlrabi, which tastes a bit like broccoli. First thing I want to do is fry the shin, give it a bit of colour. Whenever you brown meat, you get a whole bunch more flavour. So it's a good splash of olive oil to a very hot pot. And it sounds as good as it smells. Look at that. When both sides are brown, remove from the pot and set aside. In go celery, carrots and onions. Diced in the patented Evans technique. No tears ever. Smash some garlic. I need quite a bit of garlic because it's winter and garlic warms. Dice it up and stir that in as well. This thing is called kohlrabi and it's going to add a real depth to this soup. Just cut it into slices, then cube it. And a large bulb of celeriac gets the same treatment. Put in a couple of bay leaves. I'm lucky enough to have a fresh bay tree. They're just so much better. A couple of handfuls of spelt will add an unexpected rich nuttiness. I'm just going to pop that meat back into the pan. Once our shins are reacquainted, all that's left is a liberal pinch of salt and pepper. and then top the lot up with water. The last bit of the water. Just going to put the lid on and come back when the meat's tender. Time to get cracking on the legs. And we need to split the hind down the middle. One we will use for ham and the other for my favourite cut of all, prosciutto. Michelle and Ivano are in charge of trimming the face of the leg. If it's too long, we can always take the foot off.
Okay.
And if you follow that line,
Yes.
so nice, smooth, even cuts.
Yeah, we'll get the sinew off.
Yep, great. And while they get down to the business of trimming, massaging any remaining blood out, and finally salting,
So this gets washed off, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Mick has been busy with his mortadella and is chopping the finest fat from the pig into cubes, known as lardons. They remain whole in the sausage, giving it its distinctive look when sliced, which leaves the coarse mincing of the lean shoulder meat. It's a very traditional Italian thing to make.
Yeah, well, mortadella's been around forever. In the history books, there's references to the Romans eating something very similar to this. And in Italy, in Bologna, where they make them, they're as big as you, and they're like that.
Mick adds a generous handful of salt, and then milk powder, which gives it both sweetness and texture.
So this is the spice mix. So this is the Lambrusco, the red wine. So it's a sweet red. So that goes in.
And finally, gelatine mixed with water to set the sausage.
Now we just get this lot all combined together.
With the mincer adjusted to a much finer setting, we mince for a second time, before the lardons and Tassie pepperberries are folded in by hand.
And we need to go a little bit gently here so I don't squash the fat.
Once mixed, it's back into the fridge for a few hours. Then after casing, tomorrow it'll be into the smoker.
Should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm really looking forward to this. But for now, there's soup on the stove. Simmering away on there. You can't smell this, but I can. Hope they're hungry. There's no doubt about that. And a bit of beef makes a nice break from all the pig business. Hey, here we go. Wanted to have a nice soup for us to warm up by. I think we're doing a really good, amazing job out there. While some hearty nutrition will energise us all for the busy afternoon ahead. Next on our list is cotechino, which contains the most fat of any Italian sausage, and even includes the skin. Once minced, Mick adds salt and spices, including garlic, cloves, nutmeg and cayenne, and, distinctively, pecorino cheese. Wow, the aroma, the smell of those spices coming up. You guys getting all that? Warmth of garlic. Successfully extruding the sticky mixture into the extra large casings is an art in itself. Happy?
Keep on going a little bit more.
But after some trial and error, we have our first sausage.
Look at the size of that. It's brilliant.
Well, let's call that one.
Numero uno. That's
That
the inside.
is cotechino. It's a huge sausage, so what we need to do is just leave that to sit overnight. We're going to boil it tomorrow for a couple of hours, and then you cut slices and fry it. It's seriously good. It's been a busy afternoon, and Lena takes time out for a well-earned cup of tea. Have we worn you out?
Just about.
Just having a break?
No, I was just reminiscing, thinking.
Yeah?
Yeah,
About when you used to do this when you were a girl?
our first years in Australia were unbelievable because the farmers had never seen anything like that. Like I remember one incident when the local farmer brought a pig over for us to kill and he was horrified. There's Mum underneath the pig's throat, collecting all the blood and she's stirring away and he could not believe it.
They reckon we throw out about half the food we produce in the Western world. We obviously got it wrong if we're throwing out so much. And something like this and the way your family used to do it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Environmentally, socially and gastronomically.
Yeah.
And perhaps the pig product that encapsulates this philosophy more than any other is brawn, which Ross is in the final stages of preparing. Every morsel of gelatinous meat and fat is removed from the skull, cheeks and jowl. And the now highly enriched and aromatic stock could never go to waste. But the jewel in the brawn is the tongue, which is given pride of place at the bottom of the mould, which after pressing and left to set will be on full display for all to see when sliced. And what a glorious sight that will be. With dusk settling in for the night, there's just enough time for the day's last recipe, a truffle sausage, which we'll savour at our celebratory lunch tomorrow. We're going to add the diced truffle to this sausage mix. So all the sausage mix is minced up belly and shoulder with salt and pepper in it and a bit of the truffle. Simple as that. A quick mix by hand.
Together and then we'll just combine them.
It's filled into natural casings. And then a gentle twist.
Fantastic. Well done. They look really nice.
And our day is finally done. There we go.
Well done.
I think we're all pretty exhausted. This has been a massive day, but finally we've got the last thing done, the truffle sausages. Great thing is, everyone's back tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
No worries, man.
So just the cleaning up to go.
Yep.
This is the mortadella.
If you can slice it and the meat stays with the fat, you know you've got it.
Then we've got it.
Yum.
That's all we need.
No,
One word, yum. Although the weather is gloomy, our spirits are high.
I'm a very attractive man.
Because later today, we get to taste the first fruits of our labours. Right, well, we've got a fair amount of this done, but we still got a little bit to do today. So, sanguinaccia, brawn, done in the fridge, ready to taste. Mortadella needs to be put in the sausage skin and smoked. Prosciutto, pancetta is salted, ready to go. Cotechino is simmering. Truffled snags are ready to cook today. Bacon, ham, and the saucisson sec, French-style salami. There's still 5 things to get done. Better get on with it. And with Lino having left for the day, Ross is in charge of smoking mixed mortadella. Our hot smoker burns local hardwood sawdust soaked in water to produce a pungent smoke that will imbue our sausage with a delicate scent and taste. One mortadella. And after a quick trim, it's ready for its time on the inside.
Now slide that right on the top. Yep.
We've got to get internal temperature to a certain point. It's going to have about 3.5 hours in there to get up to temperature. While it smokes, we're making a brief departure from all things Italian to explore my own heritage in the form of a black ham. A rare and old English method. Unlike other hams, it's left to cure in a mixture of spices, stout and molasses, which stains its skin black and imbues the meat with a sticky, delicious sweetness. The idea with this is it's slightly bitter to cut the richness of the old breed pigs. Give that another whisk. Stout and molasses together, we're talking really good flavours. And then in it goes. Now it's going to float, so we just need a little weight on top to keep it down. And I'll keep it in there a bit over a week probably, pull it out and then smoke it and cook it. Yeah, can you smell that?
It's
great, isn't it?
amazing.
All right, gotta find somewhere cool to keep it. And finally, our pancetta, which is partially cured overnight and is ready for washing.
So we just plunge it in there?
Throw it in there and then we have to dry it off a bit. I want to control the amount of salt that goes on this second time. All right, pick her up. So this salt's going to stay on as opposed to the last one, which was rinsed off, so don't overdo it.
So the last one was just to get all the liquid out?
It sucks out a heap of moisture and all that juice. You're preserving it. You're helping to reduce the chance of anything harmful living in there. Yeah. And now we just want to keep that curing going but not have it going too fast. Right, and it's time to roll it. We're going to try and roll it fairly tightly. And because it's only lightly cured, it should be reasonably bendy still. Then we're going to tie it up, so every 5 centimetres or so a piece of string around it to tie it.
What do you reckon, Mick?
That looks brilliant.
There it is, all done. One whole pancetta.
Just like a bought one.
We'll be able to see if my tying was any good.
Yeah, we will.
By the end of lunch. With lunch fast approaching, Mick checks on his mortadella, and it's turned out even better than expected.
Looks good, doesn't it?
That looks fantastic. That's great.
A quick check to ensure it's cooked through.
Brilliant. So I reckon even Mum would be impressed with that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And our smorgasbord of porky products is almost complete. So the last piece of the jigsaw, the cotechino. So this has been boiling for 2 hours. It's still too warm to slice, but what you do when it's cold, slice big fat chunks and pan fry them. Have a look at all this stuff. This is what we've made over the last few days. We've got truffled sausages and the rolled pancetta. These are the saucisson secs. These are going to turn into a salami-style dried sausage. On the table in front of me, the ham in stout and molasses. A leg of prosciutto, the best-looking leg of prosciutto I've ever seen. The blood sausage, we can try that today. This is the mortadella, still hot from the smoker. We've got a small piece we can hopefully slice soon. Look at the colour of that. A magnificent loin, just cured with salt and native pepperberry. We've got the bacon, done in honey, and there's the brawn. So all those bits from the head, and Ross has turned it into a lovely brawn. We're going to slice that and eat that in a few minutes. We've also got the fire going. We have polenta, sausages, a taste of a few of these things. I can't wait to try them. Time to get slicing, and more importantly, tasting. And just as predicted, the brawn is a visual triumph.
That looks wonderful, Ross.
And a joy to eat.
That brawn is amazing, Ross. There's like all these like layers and the gel that just melts on your tongue, and no, it's beautiful.
This is the mortadella.
If you can slice it and the meat stays with the fat,
Yeah.
you know you've got it.
Then we've got it.
Who wants to be the guinea pig?
Yeah, you need to be the one.
Okay.
And the verdict from the maker himself?
Yum.
That's all we need.
No,
One word, yum.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty blissful, aren't they?
I don't think you could even overcook a sausage like that with the meat and the taste of that. It's beautiful.
I think we should all be very proud of ourselves. Buddy?
So far, so good. But the real test for all of us will be the sanguinaccia.
Blood for dessert.
Blood for dessert.
Oh, wow.
Chocolate
it just
and
looks like
nutmeg.
chocolate.
It's quite soft texture.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be sort of firmer than that.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a bit of skin in there. You might want to dig around.
Cheers, Vic.
For some, especially Sadie,
Okay, here we go.
it's a slightly confronting concept. But with challenges come rewards.
Oh, it's
So
delicious.
there's lots of chocolate.
I love the nuts, the fresh pine nuts.
Pine nuts, yeah.
If you're looking for the flavour of blood, you can find it. But
The pleasure of eating this is the whole thing is just so smooth and the butteriness.
what do you reckon Lena would say?
Yeah, she'd love it.
She'd love it. Yeah. So there we go. So that's a test.
Which only leaves the celebratory toast.
It's been a big few days, and I have to say I feel really good about it. We've used every bit of the pig, and what's more, I've had the perfect excuse to bring a whole bunch of new friends together, so I think we're going to start our own new tradition. Just want to say salute, thank you for sharing this experience with us. Thank you for starting a new signet tradition of breaking the pig down.
Fantastic. Thank you. Cheers. Here we go.
And to the pig.
Until the next one. To the pig.
To the pig.
And with the prosciutto, pancetta, lomo and mortadella still curing and resting, we've got months of good pork to look forward to.
When you were really excited and you said you had a fermenter, I seriously was thinking 400 kilos of brass or copper.
I think you've got an overly romantic notion of winemaking.
Now, I think I've seen footage from Austria or somewhere, Nick, where they do this. Wow.
It's looking good.
So it's ready to go. There it was 10 days ago, but you'd think it would taste like that.
How about a toast to your first barrel of wine?
Thank you very much.